I did want to call out our sponsor, Master Control. If you're not familiar with them, they do medical and pharmaceutical device here in Utah. They'd raised, and I got the number here, apparently 130 million at over $1 billion valuation, at least $1 million of which is going to AI initiatives. So they're looking to be part of the community, help AI grow here. So if that's of interest to you, which I'm assuming since you're here, that's of high interest to you, it's a company to definitely watch. We've got Blake and Darin here from RunDiffusion. They do some really cool stuff with generative AI, obviously a hot area in AI right now, and so I'm excited to kind of have them run you through what they do and some of the learnings they've had. Before we get into that, I know that there may be some announcements from the community. Anything from, I know that maybe one over here, something's going on, which I can hand you the mic.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Greg Wizenant. I'm from the Utah Office of AI Policy, recently established about a month ago. And I just wanted to put a save the date out there. On July 8th, we're going to have a launch event. So it's just a few weeks. The governor will be speaking and a few other people. And everybody here is invited. So if you sign up to the sign-up sheet that is going to be provided a little bit later, I believe these guys are going to share that with me, and we'll get an email notification and invite out to you. That's it. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Anything else coming up that people want to let this community know about? All right. Well, we won't keep it going, but here we go. Pass it over to you guys.
Cool. Thank you so much. I'm normally used to having like a lapel mic because I'm going to do some typing. We're going to do some live demos today. So if I do this or do that, I apologize. My name's Darin Holbrook. I'm one of the co-founders of RunDiffusion.com. What is RunDiffusion? We are one of the largest distributor of open source AI apps in the cloud. So as you all probably know, AI requires big GPUs, big graphics cards to run. Sometimes these are not even ones that you could buy at Best Buy. Sometimes they're ones that only belong in the cloud. What we do is we link or curate these apps so they launch quickly, usually in under 3 minutes. You get to lease a server, like a $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 machine by the hour. So it's kind of like coin-operated AI. And so what that allows designers and AI enthusiasts to do is they can get their workflows done with just a few dollars rather than committing to, buying racks of hardware, running it in their own, businesses, or getting into expensive agreements with cloud providers. And then we also curate all of that. So we make sure it runs quickly, runs smoothly. All the models are hydrated. I think we have over 2 terabytes of models that just pop in, and that's just the models. Then you've got all the other stuff, the actual software and all the distributions. I think it's over 5 to 10 terabytes for every single session that you launch. Now what that means is you can't even do this locally. You can't do it. You have to have some type of cloud solution. So that's what we offer. We've been around, this is gonna be hard. So yeah, go ahead and go one more. So there's myself, my brother, Darin Holbrook, and then one of my really good friends who I've been working with forever. His name is Tyler. So we have a Ty and a Tyler. The 3 of us found Blake last year, Three of us found Blake last year. Blake Gibbons, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself really quick, and then I'll continue.
Sure. My name's Blake. I am the Chief Revenue Officer of RunDiffusion. I handle all of our business partnerships, strategic partnerships, and my background is in tech as well, but I've been much more on the operations and sales side. I founded 2 prior startups and came on initially as an advisor, and then have helped RunDiffusion with some strategic partnerships with working on some things with AWS, and then also a big company called Octo AI out of Seattle. And then also growing our enterprise customer base as we've been growing into larger organizations. So that's been a lot of fun and growing really, really quickly.
Okay. Yeah. You can have that one. I'll go. Okay, so last, we work with the governor's office. This was an AI luncheon that I'm up here. We're helping the governor kind of shape what AI needs, what needs to happen with AI in Utah to ensure that this tsunami doesn't wipe us out. Now, everyone's probably worried about AI coming after your jobs. We're going to show you some workflows that maybe put your mind at ease a little bit, because you still need to have that human touch on, the work that you're doing. Our goal at RunDiffusion, and something we've talked with the governor about, is we never want to replace people. We want to make the impossible possible. I know that sounds cheesy, but what I mean by that is we want to use AI to actually introduce workflows that would not be possible without AI. And I'm going to show you one here that we did with Lululemon. And the reason why we're taking this stance is because, again, we don't want to replace people. We actually are trying to create more jobs. Naturally, there's going to be the separation between designers and programmers not using AI and designers and programmers using AI. That's the only way, in my opinion, you're going to lose your job, is if you don't try and use AI to make yourself faster and make yourself better. So at RunDiffusion, we like to say we help teams do their best work 10 times faster. And again, I'm going to show you a few workflows where that's demonstrated. Go ahead and go to the next one. We have worked with these companies. We had a really cool opportunity when the All-Star game was in Utah last year to work with Hennessy. That's me and my brother. We helped Hennessy and the NBA during I guess it was like pinky out event is what I like to call it, where we were at the Edison House. It was for Jay-Z and Beyonce. They were doing this big Hennessy event. I got to eat pork belly that was laced with gold leaf. I've never had consumed gold in my life before. But that was the kind of event that we did. So these celebrities and guests would walk up and they would pick on an iPad what type of a background they would like. And they were all pre-generated. We couldn't do it. This was, a year and a half ago. We couldn't do it at the point because it was just a little too intensive at the time. But we pre-generated almost 1 million images. Just that way it felt very, natural and very random. But they could choose between a neon backboard, what were some of the other ones? Like a Utah-based one, like a southern Utah-based one. And then there were 2 other ones. And they loved it. I got to check out the trophy. They had this cool trophy room of all these accolades that they had brought in. So I'm a big basketball fan. I'm 6'3", played ball in high school, so that was really cool for me. Aglets, one of our first customers ever. They were day one. We worked with them on their app to get a whole bunch of generative assets into their app. Honda, Izera Cars, they're an EV company in Poland. Greenpeace, and then a lot of video game companies. Video game makes a lot of sense, and you'll see that. Okay, what else here? So let's go over the agenda, and we already did our introductions. We're gonna do some real-world generative AI demos, and AI is random. So something weird comes up. Somebody's got 2 arms. That happens. Don't freak out. But I'll show you how to fix that kind of stuff, so you can actually get some production-level assets for your team. Then we're going to level up your marketing and advertising with AI. We're going to show you some workflows that we've actually implemented and helped companies, again, do the impossible. That'll roll into AI to elevate the customer experience. And then at the end, we'll turn it over to Blake. He's going to talk about harnessing the power of AI for product development. And I'll let him speak to that. Go ahead, and I'm going to turn it over to Blake to kind of talk a little bit about open source versus closed source, where we fit in, and where we think everyone else should kind of focus time and attention on.
Yeah, so we've been in business for about 2 years, work with about 100,000 customers in over 150 countries, so we've grown really, really quickly. But in that time, there's been so much innovation that's come out. I mean, even this last week, you saw Runway 3 come out, and it broke the internet, and then Loom AI came out for video, the Sora killer. There's a new Sora killer every week. It seems like there's constantly getting better and better. And I think as an executive, you think about this and how can I keep up with all this change? Am I going to get boxed into a technology that might be obsolete in a couple months? And so really what we focus on and what we think the right path is the value that you can unlock with AI is the combinations of workflows you can develop between these applications. So almost like an aggregator application where you might take Stable Diffusion, which is an open source model, where you can create, it's very, very powerful. That's where we kind of started with RunDiffusion, where you can create your own models based on your own assets. Midjourney is a fantastic tool. It's an amazing company. It's grown really, really quickly. But sometimes you want to generate a gaming character, not a random gaming character, but I want to generate a character that looks like Halo, my character. So we've had some conversations with Bungie about training their own models. Stable Diffusion, you can do that. Midjourney, you cannot do that. But there may be really great ideation things you want to do with Midjourney, where you might start with that and then evolve to an open source app like Stable Diffusion, that ecosystem, and then maybe you want to put sound bites to it, so you use Suno for that, and then maybe you want to do video with it as well. And so you might have some VFX effects from a video generation platform like Luma, and then you might have a soundbite overlay with 11 labs to generate voice, or Suno if you want to generate music. And so these are all the things we hear about from companies as far as ease of use is a concern for our team. How can we make something extensible where there's all these new things coming out? Security is a big concern as well. There's a lot of discussion around copyright protection, especially as artists, where you think about, hey, these models have been trained on images from the internet. There's new laws being written up on how the governance of AI and how that all works. And so a lot of companies think about vendor lock-in. And so again, I just kind of want to reiterate the path and the approach that we've taken is not necessarily pigeonholing ourselves, and we don't think companies should either, into specific technology. The power in them is using a lot of different applications and tools, and how do you chain those together to create meaningful pipelines to get your work done faster. Yeah, you can go next if you want.
Oh, sorry.
So we're jumping to the fun part here. We're going to do some, you can go ahead and.
I'm trying to find out where it went.
That's okay.
I switched.
So I want to do some live demos. Some of it's going to involve RunDiffusion technology, but we also want to do some fun things with Luma Labs. We also will talk about how we created some lyrics with ChatGPT and then pump that into our software. Parsed out the lyrics and then created images to go with those lyrics, and we made a music video about this meeting. It's very Utah specific, has green Jello fry sauce in it, the Utah Jazz, the whole 9 yards. And then we actually put sound behind it through Suno AI, so the song and the beats and everything is totally AI generated. Unfortunately, when we get to that part, we can't pump sound into these speakers right here, and so we're going to set a laptop here, so the sound will be a little bit dismal, I guess is the right word, but you'll see the image generation back here, and it's amazing how far and how fast things have come in the last 12 months. It's really, really exciting. Okay. So I'm going to turn this over to Darin. These are things that he actually developed in the course of a couple, maybe an hour or two.
Oh, I'd say 10 minutes.
10 minutes, never mind.
Okay, so we're going to do this live. Now, all these that you see up here are AI generated. In fact, most everything you've seen, other than the picture of us with the governor, was AI. What Blake was talking about, where you kind of have to, there's no one tool, not yet. I don't even think there's a single company. OpenAI is trying, but I don't think there's a single company that's trying to make the all-encompassing, golden tool that just does everything. So what we've found, where our niche is bringing everything together. So I'm going to show you one of my favorite tools. And again, I don't know where everyone is in their AI journey. And if this is just baby talk, I'm sorry. But some of the talks that we've given to people, I say, what's your extent of AI? And they go, I've had it write an email before. And it's like, okay, this is going to blow your mind then. And then there's some people that are just like, what's the math behind this? And I can't answer that. So I don't know where you are. Has anyone heard of the tool Ideogram? Heck yeah. Okay. This is going to blow your mind then. Ideogram, write it down. We actually have this, we have a partnership with them. This is coming in our app soon, where you can chain Ideogram with other tools. And I'm going to show you how this works. So I did some fun. I'm just going to kind of spoil the surprise really fast and just show you all the cool, awesome stuff you can do. All of those are AI. All right, that's it. That's the demo. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, what I want to do, this is going to be tough because I have to look behind me and do this at the same time. What I want to do is we're going to come up with a project. So your project manager came to you and they say, hey, on my desk, I want, 50, not 50, let's go with 5. I want 5 ideations of a Silicon Slopes lunch and learn social media post. And you're like, okay, I can do that. You're going to pop over here to ideogram. Maybe I mirror my screen. Let's do that. You're going to pop over to ideogram. This will be easier if I mirror. Let's do that. Did that work? There it is. Okay, this will work. And you'll start here. You'll start with a prompt. How many of you have been prompting stuff? Okay, cool. So just a little bit. And I'm going to set the mic down. I'm going to cheat and go down here to this one. There we go. Okay. Punch in your prompt. Engaging typography of the words Silicon Slopes Lunch and Learn as a marketing promotional graphic. I'm going to get rid of the LinkedIn one because that was giving me LinkedIn logos. So I'm going to get rid of that. Sunny day with sun shining, snow-capped mountains skiing, Utah delicate arch, Great Salt Lake, and then typography at the end. Over here you have your aspect ratio. Twitter, Instagram, they're not squares, they're long ways. So we're gonna do like, I think it's like a 2x3, so let's do that. And yeah, we're good. Make this private so not everyone sees what we're doing. And then we can send this. Now I want some suggestions from you guys. I want to change this first part of the prompt. So prompt engineering is a funny term. It's just like tell a story to AI. Imagine AI as like a 12-year-old, and I'm not kidding. Imagine AI as a 12-year-old. If you say, create me a graphic I can put on Twitter, like you're gonna get a lot of random answers. And imagine if that 12-year-old can spit out what you want in like 2 seconds. You're gonna have 50 different weird things that aren't coherent, right? But if you say, hey, 12-year-old, I want an engaging typography of the word Silicon Slopes, yada, yada, yada. Every single word you feed to that 12-year-old, they're going to put into your image. That's how AI works, okay? So let's talk. Let's get rid of sunny day, sun shining, snow-capped mountains, all of that stuff. Let's do something else. So give me some ideas. What do we want that background to look like? Do you want it to be snow-capped, delicate arch? We could do, Great Salt Lake. We can do mountains, woods, forest. Like, give me some ideas. Timpanogos Cave. I don't know that Timpanogos Cave is going to be in this model, and I don't even know how to spell that. But what we can do is let's do. Okay, I'm just do a cave. Okay. Let's see. Let's do mysterious. Okay, mysterious. This is going to look crazy. I don't know that you'd actually put this on social media. Mysterious dark cave. Now what we can do is you can start building on top of this. Okay, you're going to see how fast this is. Let's go ahead and just generate. So I'm going to get 4 suggestions here from Ideogram. Ideogram has one of the most powerful models that I've ever seen, and we're actually trying to build one similar to it. And here it comes. Spooky. Okay, check that out. Silicon Slopes lunch and learn. Didn't quite get it. That's okay. Silicon Slopes lunch and learn. That nailed it. We're inside of a cave. Can you guys see that okay? Try and zoom in here. Silicon's all goofy. So what's your question? Why does text?
So you give it very clear text and it misspells.
It misspells it. So what's actually happening in the diffusion process is every single pixel is being generated as part of a step. The step says, am I close to the prompt, yes or no? Yes. Great, I'm going to keep going. Am I close to the prompt, yes or no? Yes, I'm going to keep going. It's all math behind that. Then it has this thing called a cross-attention layer. What that does is it takes all the pixels and compares them to the pixel next to it. Then what that does is that splits it out into 64 groups of 64 by 64, like little 64 pixel squares. And then it says, is this 64 group, is this coherent with the group next to it? And then it goes 128, 512, 250, you get the idea. So what that's doing is every single step, it's comparing the image that it generated with the prompt that you're trying to create. And then at the very end, it says, got it. Now, some models don't got it. Some models mess it up, and that's okay. Because again, it's all math. And if you're just a hair off, if you're a hair off when you start, you'll be like way off when you get all the way down. Imagine AI's like Plinko. So when you drop that Plinko chip, like it can just kind of go anywhere it wants and then end up down at the bottom, and you're like, ooh, that's not what I wanted. I wanted the 100 points, not the 1 point, right? So that's kind of what it's doing. And so text, it only knows the letter next to it. Sometimes it knows the letter below it. Then that expands out to these quadrants to compare letters to try and build a coherent sentence. And again, some models focus on really good text adherence. Some don't care about it. They just want like pretty pictures. So
a lot of it, I was just going to add to that as you're bringing this up, Darin. That's a really great question because it works quite a bit different than like an LLM when interpreting text because it's just an image. And you've probably seen some images in Midjourney. It's getting better. So it's a function of prompt adherence of how like the data is captioned, because a caption is just a token that the AI is trying to understand, like, what are you telling me to do? And then that caption has to be understood in the image set. When you train a model, you're basically saying, you're captioning that image to say, this is what's in this image. An S, an I, an L. So as you can imagine, that's not done manually typically. It's done by a smart system that basically does that at scale. But the more models are being refined and trained, the better that text adherence and typography is going to be. But usually I have my models that bias towards one thing or another. So at RunDiffusion, we have one of the most photorealistic models in the world. It was actually mentioned on All In podcast a couple of times by Chamath Palihapitiya, and it produces really beautiful people. And he mentioned every time you get really, really beautiful people. And so our model is biased towards photorealism. It doesn't do text as well, but we're actually layering in concepts. So it's multi-concept. So it's starting to do good text. And Ideogram has their own model, and they happen to have really good text prompt adherence. That's a great question, though.
Yeah. So what we're getting this. So I added like vector illustration to kind of like create the style that I wanted, and it's just not getting the text, and that's okay because we can fix that. But if you find one in here that you really like, maybe the next Silicon Slopes talk is like at the mouth of Timpanogos Cave or something, and we want to show people that, which we could definitely do. But I'm gonna change it up because we're not really kind of getting what we want. I respect the suggestion though, for sure.
What I was going to add in there as well is a lot of times AI is used for ideation, right? Usually it's going to get you to 85, 90% there to a production quality asset. So if the L's weird, but you have 90% of the image, that took 5 seconds, whereas normally you'd have to do a bunch of Photoshop and other tools to be able to develop that asset, whereas now I just use Photoshop to just Photoshop out this L.
Okay, I like what we got here so far. So yeah. Silicon Slopes, Lunch and Learn, Silicon Slopes, Lunch and Learn, those are all spelled well. So what I did is I did mountain range, rivers, seagulls, vector illustration, social media posts. So that's what I gave it. Now I can send this for 50 iterations and send it to my boss and go, which one do you like? Like, which one should I start working towards? And let's say that this one looks really good because I like the contrast of the Lunch and Learn that kind of like stands out a little bit, from like a designer's eye. We got this like weird text down here. I like this example because I'm going to show you how to fix it up with another tool. But let's say, for example, we're going to go with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and download this. Okay. And let's head over to this tool. I'm going to put the mic down. It's just doing some logo generations. Okay, so, it's like, my mouse is weird. Can't click on things. There we go. All right, we're going to do it the crazy way over here because it was not working. Okay. Oh, this is going to be so hard. Okay, I want to fix that text. That's all goofy. Okay, right here. So I'm pulling this into a tool that we have our own custom model that we've developed that does a pretty good job at getting rid of stuff and like still keeping the style coherent. Okay, I like all of this. Now I need to go get the prompt that we used, which is going to be right. This is really tough. Okay, right here. Sweet. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to use a tool called inpainting. Has anyone ever heard of inpainting? Okay. So I'm just going to create my brush here. I'm just going to get rid of this text because it doesn't make any sense at all. So I'm just going to paint over it like that. Cool, cool. And what we can do is, I don't want it accidentally putting more text in there, so I need to change my prompt.
So this is kind of the concept of multi-tool, right? So originally we were using a tool called Ideogram. You pump that over into Stable Diffusion, which is this open source app. Ideogram doesn't really have very robust in-painting capabilities, but this happens to be an app called Focus. It's a Stable Diffusion app, but it does. And so that's where you can chain workflows together, take what you had as an output out of Ideogram, put it in here, and then actually quickly edit that picture to remove that text.
So what I said was vector, graphic, art, blue lines. Like that's really all I wanted to do, is just kind of fill in this text with what it needs to be. So what the AI is doing is it takes the entire image in as like a tiny little training step. And it says, use this image as your reference. It's like giving that 12-year-old an image to look at and say, hey, a 12-year-old, follow this, but get rid of this text. And that's what you're telling it to do. And it did it great. Got rid of that text.
But it blended it with the picture because it takes into the context of like everything that's around that outpaint and then fills it in so it doesn't just look like you Photoshop something out.
Exactly. Now, I don't like the way this seagull looks. The seagull looks kind of goofy. We can do two things. We can get rid of it, or we can try and tell it to give me a new seagull. I'm going to try that, and this is live, so.
Have it give you a duck instead.
A duck?
Yeah, ask for a duck.
It's not okay.
Just ask for a duck.
Okay, let's see what happens. I want to remind you this is live.
This is it's a powerful tool because we're working with for interior design firms or architectural firms. They may only want to change like the drapes on a window, but I don't want to change the whole picture. I just want to change the drapes. Looks like it didn't in-paint it in.
No, I didn't.
But you can diffuse just part of an image. Or I want to change, where we have a summer catalog and it's the same type of room setup, but I don't want to take a whole new shoot to photograph this picture, but the outside of the window shows snow and like mountains. I want it to be palm trees, and we can just diffuse what's outside of the window rather than the whole picture. So it's a really powerful tool rather than give you something
My
totally
mistake
new.
was I didn't load the image that we created. It doesn't do that. You need to, if you create an image, you got to grab the image and load it so you can in-paint that one. So I in-painted the wrong one, but that's okay. And this looks a little complicated, right? Well, we're going to show you what we're working on. We're trying to make this way easier. Okay, let's try it.
Hey, Darin, on your anime demo, just show them the pictures probably, just
Yeah.
for time's sake.
Good call. I mean, this is cooler anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know, the
that
anime
was awesome.
demo's pretty cool. But yeah, once we, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get a duck. So in-painting likes to get rid of things. Just keep that in mind. So we'll probably just get blue water here. Because again, it's taking the entire image and it doesn't see a duck in there that it could actually create for you. I can force it by creating a very weird looking duck and then softening it with AI. I mean, we don't have a lot of time to do this. But yeah, so I got rid of it. Again, it likes to get rid of things. When you have assets that this creates that doesn't quite, you have an extra arm, or you have too many seagulls or too many birds or too much text, you can get rid of it. Okay, I want to move on because we still have more to show.
Show the motion with maybe you were going to show the motion with the Silicon Slopes graphic that we created.
I don't have that actually. That's in the video.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, another cool thing is this tool that looks crazy. Okay, so we've set up a workflow. Like, look at all this craziness. We set up a workflow, and again, we're trying to make this easier. We set up a workflow where I can upload anybody's face, anyone's image, and I can make them look like an anime character. And actually, like, that looks like me, right? I don't know, maybe not. He's a little skinnier and way more buff, so maybe not quite me. But hey, it's fun. So I was, if somebody wants to be a volunteer, I can throw your face in here, or I can just show you what Jim from The Office would look like if he were an anime character. So he's eating at a restaurant, 35-year-old man, wearing a green polo, brown curly hair, and a short beard. So he doesn't have a beard. So let's get rid of that. Cafe, anime style, key visual, vibrant, studio. Let's just go with that. Highly detailed. Okay. It's going to create 4 images, kind of like what Ideogram did. So this is our an open source software running on our distribution platform using our proprietary model that we created to kind of do this. Everyone knows what Jim looks like? And he's got curly hair now. There's Jim with curly hair. Pretty good. Let's not do the curly hair because he doesn't really have curly hair. Let's give him a mohawk. How do you spell that? M-O-W-H-A-W-K? Mohawk hair. Sweet. Let's give him a mohawk now. We could change his shirt. We could change the location. We could put him in a park, put him in a hot air balloon, put him riding a pony, whatever you want to do. So there's companies that have approached us. They're like, I want this in an app. And we're like, okay, pay us. And then they go, we can't. Not a lot of people are, making a lot of money. This is just a tool to take whatever processes that you do on a daily basis and just make it faster. So that's the focus that we're really working on. Not many people didn't give him a mohawk. I wonder why. It ignored the mohawk. Well, it says it's spelled wrong. Oh. I did spell it wrong, see? That would be why. If you tell the 12-year-old to draw a mohawk, it's not going to know what that is. It needs to know what a mohawk is. And it's still not giving it. Okay, this could be because the model doesn't have what a mohawk looks like. So this would be considered a hole in the model, and we're constantly fixing these, constantly patching them to try and patch these issues. So clearly we have an issue. We can't generate mohawks. One of the funniest examples is I did a demo in front of a lot of people online. It was like 200 people. And somebody said, prompt a cattail next to a river. You guys all know what cattails are. Well, so I do cattail, and then like all these like feline cattails are all popping out of the river. And I'm like, I don't think the model knows what a cattail is. So that's something that we wanted to fix. But anyway, you can do this with males, females, a lot of super fun. So again, a business use case on this, I don't really know. One thing that we've been talking to companies about are, they're called activation experiences for like trade shows. So at Comic-Con, you could have someone come up to your booth and say, let me just take your photo with an iPhone, and I'll print you out your photo that's maybe on your badge or something, but it'll be anime instead. And you could do that for the entire conference. I mean, you saw how fast this is. All we got to do is get this to a printer, and you're done. And that's a really cool experience. So we're working with like agencies like the one that we worked with, Hennessy, where they called, like I said, activation experiences. And they do these at a lot of events, and like the Pinky Out eat gold pork belly events. But you can do them at like conferences and Comic Cons and things like that. So Blake, do you want to go over yours or keep going? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna disconnect here.
Which demo did you leave off with?
I left. Sorry, what?
Did you have another one?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean,
so
we could
I wanna
take your
talk a little bit
pictures
about,
afterwards.
just as we're wrapping up, because we want to have some time for Q&A. I wanted to show some examples.
How about you talk, I drive?
Yeah, that's totally fine. Just bring it up to mirror. We did about a month ago, we did a talk for Ski Utah. It was really fun for all of them and all their members. We talked about the use of AI for elevating the customer experience and the marketing that some of the resorts do. We talked about ad localization. One thing that I did want to show, actually, Darin, is what we did for Lululemon, where customers that see potential prospective customers that see people like them in ads have a greater affinity to buy. And we did something with Lululemon where you could actually, they wanted more, when they were marketing to different demographics of customers, they wanted the ability to show different types of models from different demographics. And so we created a pipeline for them where they could actually quickly create new models. With our photorealistic model, they could create new models that were totally virtually generated without having to do a new photo shoot. And so if there were people in India or China, they wanted to see people that were wearing their clothes that looked like them, we did that for them. We could make them look older. We could make them look junior. We could change the background on it. You can just bring up the, yeah. You can just bring it up to full screen there. Yeah, so we took a source image from Lululemon. So this is from their website they had with this particular jacket. And then we created a mask workflow where we kept all the clothes and everything the same. So we didn't want to change any of that. Wanted to keep the jacket the same. But they wanted to actually see new models without having to set up dozens and dozens of different photo shoots. And so you can just kind of go through that and see. So this person is totally AI generated. So are these others. You can just show a few examples.
This one's real, to mind you. And this kind of goes back to the making the impossible workflows possible. So you can now imagine how much money this would cost to hire models to match all these demographics, get them into a studio, take a photo that looks the same. Maybe they're a little bit different in like how their body looks, so you might need even more different product. And then to do a whole photo shoot for 30, 40 different demographics. And then to take that, you can also do cool things like remove the makeup from a model. So you can keep their face, but remove the makeup. Change the background. Put them at a snowy resort. Change their age. We'll take questions in one second. Change their age. And then you can have a permutation. A permutation is like A and B or B and C, A and C. So a permutation would be, I want a 50-year-old African American or a African American junior. So what this means is if Lululemon were to have to take those photos, they would have to take 3,000 to 4,000 images because you need, juniors, seniors, mid-level, across 30 different demographics. Now, why is this important? Well, there's tons of studies that show that people are more likely to close and give you money if they see your product in the hands or being on somebody that looks like them. I think it's like 50% or some crazy number, more likely to close. So when we were doing this with Lululemon, they're technologically hindered. They can't even find a way to swap out images on the fly. So we're like, all right, when you have that, let us know because we can generate the images for you.
That was kind of the use case that we had for Ski Utah, is if they were actually wanting to draw more people from Europe or Asia, and how could they, based on an IP address localization, dynamically update images on their website, things like that. And so they found that pretty exciting. I want to show a couple of use cases real quick. We're just wrapping up for product design and then also product ideation. I can do one of these on the fly, and the other ones I can just go walk through if you want to take that through. So one of the things I did with Ski Utah, which was really fun, I've skied since I was 8 years old, and so I love skiing. It was really a pleasure to be able to talk with the membership of Ski Utah. And I talked with them about designing new top sheets or iterations for, so this is a ski brand called RMU, and I was showing them some different ideation steps that they could use with a platform like ours for designing new top sheets and getting ideas and inspiration. You can just kind of roll through these.
Yep.
Again, it doesn't have the spelling and everything correct on that, but you're getting an idea of what new top sheets designs could look like. Changes in the background. You can keep going through this, Darin.
Oh.
And then I also did one for an avalanche airbag and showed them. One thing that I wanted to show, this just happened the other day, and we'll kind of wrap up on this, is I had a call with Tech Buzz News. Anybody know Tech Buzz News locally here? Great organization, writes a lot about startups. And when I was talking with Mark, the co-founder and the editor, he was saying, hey, I get images from interns all the time, and they don't center themselves in the camera, and I want to put them on their website, and the images don't look great, and then I got to Photoshop things out, and he's like, can your AI change that? And I showed him really, really quickly how that could be done, and
like
so I'll just show you how I did that real quick.
Google Slides is tough. Sorry. Did you want to go right
Yeah,
here?
just go to a generation.
Yeah, I'm going to let you go.
I'll drive. So I'll do this really, really quick, and then we can kind of open up for Q&A because we're up pretty close.
Remember your question. Yeah, questions sometimes takes longer than the whole presentation because everybody has so many, so we want to have time for that. So this was the image that they had on their website, right?
Yeah, this is Logan the intern, and Logan's shoulder got cut off, unfortunately, and so...
In a tragic skiing accident.
Just having a quick prompt, man, with a white shirt and tie. And then I'm going to, what I'm doing, Darin, if you want to just explain.
Yeah, so what he's doing is he's going to do out painting. So there's in painting where you have an image and you're inside the image and you paint it and change it. There's out painting where it says we're going to increase the amount of pixels we have. So what he's going to do is create the whole right side of this image with AI to fill that in a lot better. So he's out painting, and this tool does it nicely. Now you're going to notice something. These dots in the background are going to get kind of wavy, and this is just an artifact of AI. We are working on technology to fix that, but what it'll probably do is put like a wall back there, and I think that's what's happening. So. And sometimes this could take a little bit of time depending on how big the image is and how many pixels you need to create. But you can see it doing its magic. When it's done with the first one, you can just hit skip and then you'll get the one. Okay. Are you on a large? Okay. Is this a big image? Oh, okay. Yeah, you do have to have a solid internet connection because you're connecting to a server in New York on one of our, with one of our upstream providers. Oh, we got an error. See, that's what always happens, like the moment you do something live, things don't want to work. Just do a refresh, Blake. Or we can move on, because we're kind of at time. How big was the image? Because I know that if it's too big, it'll crash things. Okay. Let's take a question while we're waiting. You had your hand up?
Yeah. With the models, particularly, are you able to take and save a specific model and put it into different clothing, or is each piece a different model?
So the nomenclature in this space is confusing. When you say model, are you referring to the person, the human? So you want to know if you can take the human and put the human into different clothes, for example.
You can have, say, 5 pictures of the same face, but in different clothing.
5 pictures of the same face, but in different clothing. Yes. So what you do is, remember how we talked about the masking, where we can, so with the tools, you can say, all right, keep all of this, but change all of this, just with that little inpainting tool. And there's some more advanced stuff that you can do. But what you would do is you'd say keep the face, keep arms, legs, whatever, but go ahead and change the clothing. Now, that would be great, but the problem is you probably wouldn't have the clothing that you want them to wear. So you'd probably need to combine that with a custom AI model, not human model, but an AI model, to diffuse or to put the clothing that is taught on that person. And there's quite a few workflows being worked on. I know Amazon is Pattern here. We've been talking with Pattern. They're doing the same thing for Amazon, where you can target demographics with your Amazon products. And they're excited, they're working on tech like that you're talking about. We're still only a year and a half into this, so it's still pretty early. And we're trying to show like actual use cases, like you can see here. He did end up, he was able to fix that side here. And as you can see, it did a good job on the dots. Usually not when you look, what is going on? Okay, well we're gonna, sorry, we had these up for a long time because we didn't want them to spin down. So we have a timer at the top where it allows you to keep the server up. When the timer runs off, it'll shut the server down automatically so you don't accidentally leave a expensive $3 an hour server running for 2 days, and then they contact us and complain and want a refund, and we're like, oh, sorry. So, but yeah, we've had these up for a couple hours, and when you load and load and load models, they need a restart sometimes, and then we have our apps over here where you can restart your server, clear out the VRAM. And again, we're making this easier. We know that this is janky. We know this is hard. People are actually willing to deal with these types of experiences because you can't get these apps anywhere else. And we are switching providers, so to try and get a better experience. Did someone else have their hand up? I saw, yep, right here. Oh, yeah, great idea. Thank you.
I've seen some other tools that kind of do similar things to this, but nothing that shows the actual rendering like live. Is there a reason why you guys wanted to do that?
So these apps are the ones that launch locally on your local device, your local machine. And when you're connecting your front end, probably just call Ben and send him that server, figure out what's going on. It creates a pipe between your browser and the back end. Usually it's on the same box. Usually it's just on the same computer. What we're doing is bringing the front end to you, and then the back end remains in New York, right? So what we've done is we've created a pipe to allow you to see the diffusion process, because if you see it doing something where you're like, that's not what I'm going to want, you can cancel the job, save some time. It's just a little bit better of an experience as opposed to waiting for 5 to come back and then realize all 5 of them are junk, and you're like, all right, I got to do this again. So, and it's just kind of a something that the software gives you out of the box, and so we kept it. But good question. Yeah, just send it to Ben. We can move on. Yeah. Could be something with the internet here, which happens. We have a lot of people overseas. Tons of people overseas that we got to spin up servers in Europe for them. So.
The thing that we can kind of end on to is just for product ideation, we have a thing called ControlNet that a lot of design companies will use, where if you have a sketch of a character, if you have a sketch of a product, based on that product sketch, the AI, we can create a control net, basically creates parameters and boundaries where the AI diffuses around that product. And again, for different ideas of how you want to make, this is an avalanche backpack for Ski Utah, where we went through and just showed them several different iterations of like an avalanche airbag and what that might look like. But again, the fun thing was, unfortunately, our box, for whatever reasons, having issues. But for the example that I gave, I was able to show the TechBuzz News where you can just fix that image, like center it. So one, it's centered, not so offset. Fix the shoulder cropping, and then I actually sent him a kind of a fun photo where I masked out over his hair and made the, I put curly hair, like really stylish on Logan as well, so he looked really suave. But yeah, so these are some of the powerful tools and apps that you have kind of available at your fingertips. But again, I just want to reiterate the power in these is chaining them together to create meaningful workflows. That's really where you can create really great business use cases by doing that. And so I know we ran a little bit over. What other questions can we answer while we have everybody here? So far, it's been really good. Yes.
I really loved watching the demos of what you guys are doing, what it can do right now on the fly. And you talked about dynamic, well, sort of dynamic changes in models and things like that on human models. What are some other examples of things your clients are doing, like use cases actually as they're using them for marketing?
Yeah, so for marketing, one of our biggest clients is an Israeli gaming company. We happen to have, they must all know each other over there because we work with lots and lots of Israeli gaming companies. One of the largest is called Playtika. They have about 5,000 employees. They make mobile games. And they do in-app marketing all the time. And so one of the use cases for them that they wanted was they have a character called Blitzy. It's like a blue cat. And they wanted us to create a custom model. A mini model is called Allura. It's an acronym. But also a girl's name, I guess. It's spelled a little different. But they wanted us to create a model on that character so then when they prompted, they could get that character every time without having to draw that character out. And then they wanted to use the AI to basically create a layering effect. So they wanted a model to create the character, but then also a model to follow the style of their games to create backgrounds for that character to put them in different backgrounds. And then they could create sort of hero messages around that and create subtle animations. So that's like a use case they would use in marketing all the time, where normally that would take a pretty significant effort from different teams to be able to do the illustrations and then also the editing and all that. And with the workflows we're setting up for them, it's pretty much all automated, where they can basically, because there's also tools within the apps too, which are really fun, where you can take a picture of like yourself and like sitting on a couch, and there's an XYZ grid that actually creates of like where your legs are in space and your hands, and then it maps it onto that character. So Blitzy's suddenly going like this on a couch, and there's like a message across. So that's a really good use case for it. I'm trying to think of what else. Ogilvy is a big client of ours. They use Ogilvy and WPP. They will use this. They're not using it as much for ideation right now. They're using it for production quality assets because they're worried about copyright issues that have kind of bubbled up with media generation. But RunDiffusion is an open ecosystem where we can accept models from OpenAI or from Stable Diffusion. There's another model I was talking with somebody else out here about called Bria AI. They happen to be out of Israel as well. They're actually building a really cool ecosystem or a platform that's kind of like Spotify. So they actually have data provider partnerships with Getty and some other players where they have an attribution engine. So when an image is created, they know which data provider influenced that image, and they'll give them a royalty payment on that. And so Ogilvy, for example, wants to use our platform for more creative control and pipelining, but invoke a Bria model so they can use it for production quality assets for marketing campaigns. Another good example. Great question. Anything else? Yes.
Top five favorite AI tools for anything that you do, business related.
I would say business related. I mean, I do use ChatGPT all the time because, again, it didn't necessarily, I used it a lot for some of our legal documents as we were starting out as a company early on, because I've done this before in startups where I've managed a lot of the operations and had to create SaaS agreements and everything, and where financing is lean and you haven't raised a lot of money yet, you can't afford to pay $600 an hour on retainer for a lawyer. And so I got it 90% of the way there at what I knew should be in a legal contract, and then handed it off to our lawyer to kind of fine-tune any mistakes that might be in there. So I would say ChatGPT is a super powerful tool. There's others like ChatGPT that are really powerful too that you could use for comparison. So Anthropic is really good as well. And then Perplexity is another one that's very, very powerful. The people that founded Anthropic actually left OpenAI and founded that company. So that one, I would say our tools and our apps. Ideogram is very, very good. They have their own image generation platform, but Darin showed you a little bit. It's very, very good for typography, where normally if you're using Midjourney or something else, you get a lot of distortion with typography, and Ideogram happens to have a very good model for typography. I would say Suno is really fun if you haven't used Suno before. Who's the other one? Udo. Udo? Music generation. So Suno and Udo are kind of for music generation. I haven't used it a lot, but 11 Labs is probably one of the most popular ones for voiceover. So if you're wanting to create new voices for stuff. There's a new one that came out that does lip syncing. It's really, really good. And so instead of having to like have weird lips for subtitles, it actually matches it really, really well in different languages. And then we use one called Face Fusion, where you can put your face on different people, and it blends it really, really well. So you can put your face on Arnold Schwarzenegger's body, and it blends really well, and you wouldn't be able to tell it's not you. It's actually really, really good, scary good technology. So those are some of the ones that come to mind. Kind of fun. Anything else? Yes.
Okay, so I'm a marketer. I've got my brand, and I've got a whole set of assets and branding, and this is my colors, and this is my typography, and here's my PowerPoint template, whatever. When you talked about Blitzy being kind of its own training, I don't know the word that you said.
Laura.
Laura. Can you do that with a whole brand's worth of information and assets?
Yes, I'll answer that, and then Darin's more the whiz around it. But you can kind of think of, there's foundational models like OpenAI, which is trained on billions and billions of parameters, right? It's huge. And then, so those are multi-concept. There's tens of thousands of concepts in there. You can actually create submodels on top of that. What you'd create with Stable Diffusion is called a checkpoint or a fine-tune. So you can kind of think of the foundational model as the wider base with much more parameters. And then if you're wanting to create more predictability in that model, you can build a submodel and train a submodel on top of it called a checkpoint. A checkpoint is usually multi-concept. So it would have elements of your stylization, your colors, but then maybe some of your logo and photographic effect and things like that maybe is in your brand. And then Allura is usually typically a single concept. The best way I could describe it is, I like to use a car, for example. So you have the foundational model of Stable Diffusion, and then if I wanted to train a checkpoint on trucks, I could train a checkpoint on trucks. It's very biased towards trucks, so if I'm prompting, it'll oftentimes produce trucks. But then if I want a specific Chevy Avalanche truck, then I could create Allura on that Avalanche truck, as an example. So it's just building blocks that make the model less random. Yeah.
Another really good analogy is like a cake. So you can have a 1-layer cake, 2-layer, multi-layer wedding cake, but the icing on the outside, it can be different colors, flavors, so the icing is like Allura, but the cake is its foundational cake. You can't make the cake have 2 layers. You can't make the icing, unless you could just take the icing and build it up really, really big, but that's a very tipsy-turvy cake. It's not going to work well. It's going to be pretty hard to use. Same type of thing. If you make Allura, try to do too much, you might as well just make a foundational model. And a lot of businesses, it really depends on use case. We like to say AI is like computers. If computers, I'm talking if this MacBook, if we went from no MacBooks, no laptops, no computers, to a MacBook in 18 months, how disruptive would that be? I mean, that'd be crazy. So people are coming to us, and they're like, how do I use this computer in my business? You're like, what do you do? And it's really specific use cases require specific tools. And so the AI is the same way. You can't just say, show me how to use AI in my business. It really depends on your use case. And that's, we kind of go in and help people kind of navigate this. Does that answer your question? It's kind of a long answer, but.
Yeah, I think so. I
Okay.
mean, if I'm Lululemon and I've got this fashion models thing going on, that's great. But then I also want to add, here's my Lululemon like logo, and I want it
Yeah.
in this color, and also there's this sub logo. Maybe there's a line of clothing that's this, and
Right.
maybe I have something. Anyway, I just when you have something like that, do you guys need to build the LoRa, or how does that
They
work?
can. They have teams that do it and attempt to do it. We have teams that do it as well, and we're really good at it because we've done this. We've been doing this almost 2 years now. It's really expensive, though, because you have to grab the data, curate the data, clean the data, train the data. Then you got to test the model. Did the model work? Scrap it, do it again. Because it's all math, like the airplane example. If you're going to go head to Australia and you're 1 degree to the left, you're not going to go to Australia. You're going to be somewhere way different. Because if you're just one little parameter off, when you send that for a 2-week training or a 2-day training or whatever, your end result's just going to be garbage. So you really have to know your instruments and how to use them. And a lot of people don't know how to do this because it's so new, and they do need help. And a lot of businesses are just avoiding it because they're like, oh, I'll wait for all the tooling to come out. But they're missing incredible opportunity in fixing things. So, did you have something?
I was just going to say, right tool for right job.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some things that like you wouldn't.
Oh, I switched. I thought we were going to do the video. So, you want the going back to go back to that right there. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much. When you do the live gens, it's just kind of all over the place. But we feel like the live stuff's so much fun to see it actually, come to fruition in your eyes. So, yeah. So if you want to watch, we have a cool video. Scan that code, watch it on your phone. We used ChatGPT for the lyrics, or is this this is the video. We used ChatGPT for the lyrics. We used Suno for the audio creation. We used Luma for the video creation, and we used our proprietary model for the image creation. And we were able to create an entire music video in like a day, like literally a day. Every single thing was created with AI. And if you guys want to talk to us later, I think that's right there. If you guys want to talk to us later, scan one of these QR codes. You can actually send a QR code through AI, and you can like make trees and clouds out of the, and it actually scans. So it's pretty cool. So if you want to connect with us, ask us questions. We can come by, help your business kind of like figure out what tools you need to use in order to like get a really good AI presence in your business. Thanks, everybody.